Jay Peckham here.
It looks a lot different than last.
No kidding, right?
That guy's more handsome.
Well, don't say that out loud. He'll expect it every time. But it's good to have you back, Connor. I know you're
Good to be back.
feeling a little under the weather there.
I apologize. I don't got it anymore, so don't worry about any
Jay was happy
spreading.
to fill in, and he loves that camera. I knew we wouldn't have a problem getting him here, but
Perfect.
Nice to change it up once in a while. Good to have you
I'm
here.
sure people are sick of me anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
A distance makes the heart go
I don't know how
fonder.
they
That's
don't
what
get
they
sick
say.
of me. I think next year I should just be Jay and Connor, and I'll just go sit over there and watch the hockey game. Good to have you back, though. But, boy, you not being here, I don't know if that had an effect on
I wondered the same thing.
Did you watch the game?
I didn't get
home?
to watch it. No, I was in and out of consciousness.
Well, I mean, it was a well-played game, I thought, and they played hard. They played good. Even coming up against the Sioux Greyhounds, who are also, doing fairly well this year. They weren't an easy team to beat.
Yeah.
Lucas Fisher, though, he hasn't changed much. He still likes the penalty box.
Oh, yeah, that's not surprising at all to me.
He was still in there 2 or 3 times. But the guys, the only thing, it was like, here we go, and then we got a lead, and then we fall back, and it's like,
a tale is old.
And then we go to a shootout,
right?
Because we love those.
Oh, yeah.
Made for a great dramatic finish, though, I got to tell you. It was
sure
pretty intense in here, but 4,200 people here.
Yeah, that's awesome. Busy Monday afternoon, right?
All right, here we are now, and we're kind of on the heels of Owen Sound,
Owen
right?
Sound, 6 points away now.
Yeah. What do you think?
You're coming down to the nitty-gritty of the season. You've got 13 games left, 26 points up for grab, 6 points out of a spot. So now you're really starting to do the math and say where is Owen Sound maybe going to lose, and where can we jump up a few points?
Right.
Every single they've mattered all year long, but now every single point matters, regardless if you're going to OT. You got to win it. You got to get the extra point. It's nice to take it to OT, nice to get to the shootout at the start of the season and get 1 point, but now it's every man for themselves, and everybody's clawing at the last position. Yeah,
it makes for great hockey because, everybody, the competitiveness, I think, gets stronger. It's almost like, I think, for the Sarnia Sting, is it fair to say that they're in playoff hockey mode right now?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. It's do or die, really. You lose a certain amount of games, you mathematically fall out. That's just how quickly it happens. If Owen Sound wins a couple and we lose a few, or the other way around, it turns around pretty quickly, and you'll see that because 6 points becomes 8 or 6 becomes 4. It's a huge difference. It's one way or the other.
It's interesting because if you go back, maybe even 3 weeks ago, when we were talking here we are way down here. Almost feeling like there was no hope. Almost, I think that was kind of the feeling, the vibe. Mm-hmm. Now it kind of feels like, there's still a chance for this team.
Yeah, I mean, we were just this close to Saginaw, who's pushed ahead now, but now Owen Sound's like you don't want to bank on anyone else's hardships, but when it happens, you really got to take advantage of it. And they're in a tough spot right now, so their last 10 hasn't been very good. Our last 10 has been a little bit better than to be expected, and get contributions from guys like Logan Howery, who we missed for weeks and weeks on end. It was really, really tough to see him.
Say hi, Buzz.
Oh, yes, go Canada, by the way.
Yeah, right.
They won today.
I see they're going to the semifinals, right?
That's so excited.
Yeah, very. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of hockey going on in the world, right?
Very important hockey. Very important hockey.
And, you come down to, again, that win the other day from the Sioux. And then, prior to that, Beckham Edwards, we saw here on Family Day limping around with his big brace on. And, Matthew Turcotte at the postgame there, he expressed some strong concerns.
Yeah, it's sad to see when, especially, he's committed to college next year to further his future and his career. You don't want to think that it might be the last time you saw him in a Sting jersey, but it also might be a possibility, especially when you see a knee brace and the limping and the crutches. You start to look at how many games are left. There's 13. How many games can you miss, and how many do you want? How many can you really push yourself before? Or if they come down to games that don't matter, do you want to go back in? And
Well,
on the
then
off
there's
chance that you re-injure and injure.
risk and re-injure, yeah.
We're
But
going into a draft year too. So.
Well, it's got to be frustrating too that you've worked all that all year, all season. Hey, there we go, guys. How you doing? All season, and now you're out. It's like, I mean, that's got to be hard on anybody at any age, any level, to go, I got to sit here. Like he walked by here the other day, and I saw him and kind of nodded, hey man, how you doing? And he had to force a smile on his face, which I totally get. Like that's, but he's still, I mean, obviously he's still rooting for his team on the sidelines. But man, you really want to be out there, especially this critical moment.
Yeah, it's crunch time, and I can't imagine how bummed out he is to the end of the season, and you're in this position to make the playoffs, or so very few points out, and for him to try and boost his draft stock to get as high as he can in the NHL draft, because at the start of the year he looked like he might have been a late first round, and now he's kind of slipped towards the second round. He's had his struggles this season. Came up pointless a couple games. He didn't look maybe as impressive as he did in his rookie season, and now it's kind of wondering where you're going to go in the draft, and now even more so if you're even going to get back in the lineup, and how much he misses being on the ice, how important he is to the Sting. He's easily one of the most talented players on the ice, and to see anybody go down is tough, but to see your top guys go down, it's pretty disheartening. But it's an opportunity for any one of these players to step up and fill the role.
Well, Jay Peckham and I talked about that the other day, and we said, there's a gap that needs to be filled in there. Is that a new player that's going to do that? And then we saw Easton Welos coming in there. Here's again, we could talk about Easton, like we could do a whole show on this rookie player that's come in and really stepped up to show that he's here to play hockey.
Oh, he's so awesome. And what a bright spot to look forward to next year. All things going well, that he comes back to us and he's here just to further his career with us. And how impressive as a rookie. You don't see it with Breckham. Like, we seem to kind of be striking gold with these players, but it really doesn't happen that often across the whole league. So it's what a pleasure to have him, and steps up every night.
You hope to hold on to a player like that, but then, of course, coming into draft picks and all that sort of thing, and exchanging picks for players.
Yep.
And just coming out of the media room, I learned a lot from the guys who've been doing this for a long, long time. And they're talking strategy down there. Well, do you do this? Do you that? You're looking at a team like the London Knights. Are they willing to give up? Maybe you can get some of their better than maybe some of what we've got going on right now. Give up some picks to get those players. There's just a lot. It's all confusing to me, but there's a lot of strategy that goes on coming into even before we tie the skates in September again.
Oh, tons of moving parts. A first official summer with the NCAA.
Right.
This is really going to show what happens, because players have had their full season in the NCAA. Maybe they didn't get as much playing time as they expected, or they didn't get along with their teammates as well as they thought they would, or their coach.
There's that.
And maybe you're homesick. Maybe you'd rather be back in Ontario than living abroad. There's a lot to decide, and I'm sure you're going to see a lot more movement again this summer. And there's no way of knowing unless you're in one of these players' ears, because I'm sure it's going to come down to the last seconds. Saw that with Adam Valentini and the Kitchener Rangers this year. Thought they were going to get a commitment out of him, and then 2 weeks later, it was literally 2 weeks later he had committed to college. So it really comes down to the last second and how they're feeling in the moment and where they think they can better their career.
But you want to look at the position of the Sarnia Sting. Okay, we're talking playoffs. We're working on that all right now. But moving forward and ahead again, is there I hate to say the word, like the rebuild team. I think we kind of expected, I think even the Sting kind of expected that they'd be further ahead right now compared to, what they've been able to do in the last couple of years. And then, coach changing, all that sort of stuff. But are we looking at a rebuild team again next year?
It's a tough position to look at, because, you had a chance to kind of do that at the trade deadline, and you didn't see any activity from Dylan Sika, and then the only move we did see was Ryan Brown for Logan Howery. So it's kind of wondering where you really are and what position of the rebuild you're in, because like you said, we probably should have been further ahead this season, and now when you don't make that in the OHL, it's so many moving parts, and every team's in a different position each year. You can go from first to last, just like that. And
Right.
now it's, you wonder where you are in the rebuild, because it would have been nice to have a couple more picks for players that maybe aren't going to come back, like, well, not just overagers like Ben Pickle and players that that, but that was the commitment to say that we're going to keep these players and try and make that last push for the playoffs. So, yeah, you wonder where you are, because it does not often that if, God willing, that we don't make the playoffs, that it doesn't happen very often where you miss it 3 years in a row in the OHL because of how much turnaround there is. And I think the highest streak is the Ice Dogs with 5. So
Right.
you don't want to be pushing for
we don't want to go for that, right? Well, like you keep, it's a good way to put a lot of moving parts, but some of those parts have changed because of new college and all that stuff. Like it's just really. I changed the strategies too, I'm sure, on the side of, the general managers and the coaches and everything. Speaking of general manager Dylan Sika, I know I was talking to Terry Doyle, and he did an interview with Dylan, and basically, so, you look at like a Dylan Sika, like he's making all the decisions, and it's not. Right, there's more going on there.
Yeah.
And I guess Dylan made the joke of, it's pretty bad. Even when my mother calls me and says, "What the heck are you doing?" Right? It's like it's not all up to me, Mom.
No.
But definitely there's a lead, and there's always that pressure. These types of positions, the general manager, assistant GM, coach, all that. There's a lot. We talk about the pressure on the players, but there's a lot of pressure on everybody to make this work, especially even more, I think, with the new ownership that came in last year. They're coming and taking a look, and they know what challenges they had coming into their hands, and they've got a lot of big plans in place. We talk Memorial Cup, all that sort of stuff. You take a look at right now and you think, how could you pull that off? But knowing this group the way I do, I still think that's something that's going to come along.
Yeah, I would love for that to happen. Like you say, you look now and you wonder how it's possible. It's a lot easier to attract the Memorial Cup when you have a competitive team.
Sure, I want to play on that team.
Yeah, well, the OHL doesn't really like that for revenue reasons as well, right? Because, not that we have the one place that you could go with us being dead last in the standings and have 4,200 people show out on a family day afternoon on a Monday. It's consistently in the top half of attendance in this league.
Right.
And for the past 3 years, we've been in the bottom half of the standings. So
yeah,
it's a conflict of interest. It's ironic, but it's super nice to see how the fans keep showing out.
It wasn't long ago I could have sold a ticket for $500 just to sit over in section 103.
yeah.
Maybe not 500, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
Down my deck. Can you get me tickets? I said, yeah, you can go. I can get
I
you
had
the same place, Sarnia
tickets,
Sting. Right. Can you get those tickets? Well, you're famous now.
Oh yeah, right. But they were selling like hotcakes. Every single person in the city wanted to be a part of the playoff run.
Line up all the way around the building.
People camped out. People were here at 3 in the morning.
Right? Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's that kind of excitement to have that around again. I think it's super important to build this culture, and I'm sure the whole management group, all the pressure that they feel on them. Despite the fans that keep showing up, the tempers rise a little bit. You start to get frustrated when you're not seeing results. So yeah. I'm sure they feel it too. And just to get that spirit of camping out around the arena would be awesome to get back again.
Right. Little bonfires going on out there. Not suggesting you start fires.
Safely.
Maybe I better stop. Canadian Mental Health Association is here beside us today. And
so Sarnia Fire Rescue.
Are they? Oh, I didn't see that.
No,
okay.
What? It's just saying you were talking about bonfires.
Oh, yeah, right. Oh,
they're here and they don't.
So Canadian Mental Health Association, it's Talk Today. And one of the things that, hashtag Talk Today, if you want to follow along with that. Mental health is definitely something that's important in all communities and important to the hockey teams as well. Sarnia Sting and many OHL and NHL teams have their own mental health coach. So that kind of tells you what that's all about. So it's good to see them here talking about their services and everything else. Let's talk about the goalies here. Patrick Quinlan. We haven't seen Evan Millett in a while, but Patrick Quinlan and Osipenko in there. Like, these are two they've kind of been back and forth. Patrick Quinlan had a good start to the season, and then had some slump in there, and it's sort of coming back. We saw, in Friday's game that we saw 2 goalie changes.
How extremely rare that is to see
Right,
that happen.
right. What did you think of that?
It's once in a lifetime. It was so I wondered, I was going to say, when are they going to put Kale back in? And then lo and behold, he skated out for the third period. So you wonder how Matthew Turcotte felt about that and how all the players felt about that. It was not to live in the past, but it was pretty embarrassing to let both your goalies get shelled like that and have to change twice. It's not good at all. It was pretty disheartening to see, and I couldn't imagine what Kale felt like skating out for the third after he had already let 4 goals in, watched Patrick let 4 goals in, and then be hung
Go
out
back
to
out
dry
there and
like
try
that.
again.
Yeah, it was pretty awful to see.
Yeah, it was an interesting decision, to
It
say
was.
the least.
Yeah,
And we always wonder, where do these decisions come from? You like to think there's some kind of a strategy behind it or a reason behind it. I'm sure there is. What that looks like, I don't know. But we're again, and Jay and I talked about, you and I did too. Like, we're still getting to know this coach. He's doing everything he can in the short time that's left of this season. And, you had referenced before about, he said, we're going to need about 10 or 12 games we're there.
Yeah.
Right? And would you say that we've seen good, positive changes?
I have, yeah. It's tough to say when you see us get one of the worst losses since 2019. But, yeah, I think for the most part you've seen a shift in the positive right direction. It's still fair. Like, the middle of the season is a tough time to throw in a new coach, especially when they're at the bottom of the standings and whatever turmoil is going on behind the scenes. It's you won't really get a full slate of what Matthew Turcotte can do until you start at the start of the beginning of next season, and he gets a full training camp and gets to develop maybe even some more of his own staff members. We'll see on that. And it's tough, and I'm pretty happy with what he's done, and I'm sure he's looking forward to starting a new season.
Well, the eyeballs are on him, and like you said, I think right now it's more of a forgiving time. I think, as far, we want to see something better. We still want to see our team win, but we see what you came into here, Mr. Turcotte, blah, blah. But come summertime and camps and all that sort of stuff, I think the eyeballs are really going to be on the coach.
Yeah, that's a massive time for him to start and make an impression on the organization. Because middle of the season, it sucks. It's nice to get a full slate under your belt.
Yeah, I'm sure you've been watching along. Jay and I talked about it, but I'd like to know your thoughts. Al Letang is now over in Germany, right?
Yeah.
In Bavaria. There's another I was having a conversation with he who shall remain nameless, but to say that 5 times fast. Oof.
Sources.
Right. Nice to see Al Letang over there, and I talked to his wife when I saw that happen and said, give him congrats. Oh, you're welcome. Enjoy. And then today I saw a video interview that was put out with Al Letang, and you could just see the genuine happiness on his face. Like, you can see those, and you've seen the interviews where they're just they're not happy to be where they're at. And he was just genuinely happy in this interview. He comes from that's kind of a home to him over in Europe, right? And he said, I'm thrilled to be here, and I know this country, I know the people, and it was just a genuine happiness on his face. So nice to see him doing still what he loves, which is coaching.
Yeah, good for him. I'd love to see him get a new start, and he has a full plate ahead of him because that's a struggling team on their own. I went and did a little research as well.
With only 6 games left.
Yeah,
here you go.
Yeah,
right.
Get to know everybody and then go out for the summer.
Yeah, and I kind of led that way to give congratulations again to Al Letang. He's always been a favorite of mine, but to say though similarly how he left is how he came in there with. There's only 6 games left. Why don't you just wait out those 6 games and then get rid of that coach? You kind of, again, wonder what happened. Because they came out, I think, at a first period intermission at a game and said, this is our new coach.
Oh, wow. That's an interesting way of doing it. I've never heard of that. But I could see the 6 games left, it makes sense. Maybe you realize that this is the end of the road. You cut ties and
why wait?
Let's get a little bit of experience before we go into the summer.
Yeah, I guess.
You won't even get to see those players in the summer. Really, they're all off. With whatever they're doing, they'll have lives. You're not at the rink really at all. I think for 2 months. So probably get 6 games just to say hi, and this is what it's going to be like next year because
see you next year.
We only have this much runway left.
Yeah, good point. Because it is different than here for sure, right? The way that works. And it's just good to see. So kudos again to Al and his family. Okay, coming in here now against Guelph. This is another one. This is a beatable game here tonight, I think, for the Sarnia Sting. I mean, seeing what they've come out of over the last few games, they're heading in the positive direction. That Monday, and then you get one day. Here we are again, Connor, with the schedule. We had a Friday game, we had a Monday game, and now we're back here on Wednesday, and then they're headed on the road again. Like, this has been an intense schedule for this whole season.
Oh, it's just so jam-packed into to one little section. It's tough. Like, you've heard it from Zika. I'm sure you could ask some of the players, don't really want to give their opinion on that, but I'm sure if you did ask them privately, they'd be pretty. Yeah, this is a tough schedule. Like, nobody really does this. Want to give these athletes as much time to rest in between as possible. So you're starting to see that now with our lineup. So many injuries coming. Mitch Young's been out. Like, it's tough, and that's what happens when you don't get the recovery time. It's like going to Crunch Fitness and working out 6 days in a row. If you got no recovery, then you're going to get injured at some point. You're starting to see that now.
And where was I going with that? So Quinlan's starting. Who else is off? So we've still got Mitch Young. Capecci, we sort of started to see a little bit out of him, but then he's been off for a while now too. So, you look at the opportunities because of Beckham Edwards being off, but there's a couple key players in there that you would like to see there to take advantage of that. Mm-hmm. Who do you see besides Welos stepping in to fill some of this gap?
I think you got to look at Brenner Lamons. He was the highest pick of this last draft. I think they expected a lot out of him, and not that he hasn't shown up. He's a rookie. You look at a guy like Easton Wallows and you say, like, wow, look what he's done as a rookie. And then, but I think the more realistic thing is a player like Beckham Edwards. They come in, you don't make a huge impact as you're still not fully grown into your body. You're figuring out a whole new league. So I think with coming to the end of the season, he's been contributing hugely over the past couple of weeks, kind of finding his way into his own, and I think that's going to be pretty important to step into a role and fill in like Beckham Edwards, something like that. It'd be good to see what he can do next season as well, because here's your little tryout.
I would give you. I'll give you most of that as far as Brenner goes. I do like him. He does step in, but I feel like he's a player too that. Hey guys, hey, love it. Where what was I saying? God, I'm so easily distracted.
Well, there's Mr. Beckham Edwards is there.
Yeah, there he is. Yeah. Doesn't look like there's a brace on today, right? So he's getting around a little bit more. But
inside news right here, guys.
Yeah.
He's no brace. He's walking, so that's actually good news.
It is positive. However, you still see he's not in the game, so there's some caution lights going up there. Back to Brenner, though, a couple of key things in there that I think I'd like to see him work better on, and that is his emotion. He's an edgy player. He does like to get in there, and I don't want to call him the enforcer, but he gets in there a lot, I guess, when needed. But there's a few times I've seen him do that where I would have liked to just see him kind of back off and just play a little more hockey than play. Would you agree with that or no?
I don't. I like the edge that we have. I think looking back to that 11-3 game, it's everyone kind of laid down at the end of the game there. You don't like the fighting, but I think if any time that you're going to fight, that's the time to do it when you're getting shellacked and your goalies are getting embarrassed and you're getting embarrassed and your fans are upset. I think that's a pretty important time to say, hey, this is enough of this.
I can see. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about just overall what I've seen out of him. But I think maybe a little more controlling the emotion. Yeah. I know there's a time. I'm not opposed to the fighting, folks. He's making that up. I just don't get it the same way he does. That's all. No, I do understand. I know it's part of the game and all that, but I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, and you still got to think about how young he is.
Right. That's kind of my point.
You get one season under your belt, you kind of realize, maybe your emotions tone down a bit, or you take more of a leadership role where you're not. No one's relying on you as a rookie to be the guy to show up. But when you're here, you've been here for a year, you've been here for 2 years, you start to look at who's the leader and can you lead us to a playoff berth. So I think he'll come into his own for sure.
Yeah.
Just a little
Who
feisty
are the
right now.
leaders on this team right now, aside from the, your captain, etc.?
Mitch Young, it's tough
Yeah.
to see him out for sure.
Yeah.
And you're only going to have him for 13 more games because he's an overager as well. Kind of looking at next year for who's going to be the next leadership group, because it's just a bit of a transition period. You're not going to have very many old players that have been, not to say old, but to say more of a veteran presence that have been here for 3-4 years. You've had a guy like Ryan Brown, and now he's traded, right?
Right.
So I guess you can kind of look to Logan Howery. He's been in the league the same amount as Ryan Brown, but it's
Look at all the scratches for golf.
like, again, don't want to take it. You don't want to rely on
Don't
people's
wish you were
misfortunes.
easier, wish
but,
you were better, but
but
right
you
now
gotta
we'll take it all.
advantage of it, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Pounce all over that.
100%. I didn't bring them; they were in my wallet. I left them at home, but I got my my official Buzz and Honey cards, and a gentleman that you didn't know that?
Yeah, signed personally?
Yeah, right
Nice.
over here, man. Don't you know who I am? Just that.
Oh, I do.
But I got gentleman that's here all the time taking pictures with his camera. He dropped that off for me.
That's
today.
a good one.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's a great
Frame
picture.
that. Put it
But
on your
yeah, they
fridge.
were signing them right here, the Buzz and Honey cards, autographed and
Awesome.
everything. And you
I
don't
missed
have
out.
Them. That's too bad. Jay Peckham
Good thing I
got
know
them.
them. Good. I know a Buzz.
You know them? You think you could get a couple?
I know a Buzz.
All right. Yeah, I know a Buzz or two. But the hockey cards are available. You can go to sarniasting.com and pick up those hockey cards online, as well as come here to the Honey Pot. And if you're not here, why aren't you here? It's still great hockey, and it's going to be really exciting here tonight. I think we're in a good position here tonight, but then moving forward, there's some pretty tough games ahead still.
Yeah, like I said at the start here, you really are looking at the remaining of the schedule. You look at teams like Windsor and Brantford, and you think, well, at points you don't want to say that you won't. Anything's possible, but that's going to be the much less likely 2 points, where you might be able to drag them to an OT or a shootout and get 1 point. But you have to look at these ones. 2 weeks ahead, it's not going to be any easier. You look at, I think we 4 more times before the end. Teams that you see so frequently in the Bay, and I know it's the travel, but
it's going to be interesting, and that's why we're here, and we hope that you'll stay tuned with us. I'm live over on TikTok. I'm until the first period starts, and then we'll be taking a break from that. Going to join me for the intermissions, hopefully with some positive news. Oh, Will Baisley, that's here today, sponsored by Fabian Zagou. Do you know Fabian? I have to introduce you to him. He's one. Go take a seat. We're going to let you go, and we'll be live on TikTok up and. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks, Joe's Discount Tire and Use Intelligence for Beyond the Boards. I'm